Up, guys? It's Dakanoth here, and so you're wondering how do you progress in a game like Whiteout Survival? Now, my suggestion when you first start playing, right, and you're wanting steel, you got to go through the exploration clamp, and basically you've got to be claiming this, you know, relatively speaking, probably every couple hours, but you basically want to hit this and see what your claim time is, and you want to be claiming that usually before the bar gets full, right? Because that's what your steel production is. Now, in terms of prioritization goes, you're gonna early game. You're gonna want to basically sit here, mass upgrade your sawmill and your coal mine. Now, as you progress through the game, obviously you're gonna want to work on your hunter's hut, your cookhouse, and your iron mine and your shelters. So as you upgrade your furnace, you'll upgrade your shelters, and then vice versa. You'll just kind of bounce back and forth, rotating through these buildings because these are effectively what we would describe as your resource buildings, okay? But once you get down to the research center, what you'll want to do is you'll actually want to work on economy and growth. More specifically, you want to go through growth and you just want to start maxing out anything or everything that improves basically your gathering and your training capacity and your construction speed. Okay? Because basically, what you're going to do is you're going to take all that effort that you've got, you're going to go through and basically mass do all of those things in rotation. Now, you might be wondering, should I have like a survivor assigned for clinic? You really don't need one, so you can actually reassign them and put them anywhere else, or just leave them unassigned so that they don't get moody and all that jazz. Now, the suggestion box is just nothing more than, the happiness bar of your villagers or slash survivors, I guess. So ultimately, what you're trying to do is just kind of min max your benefits here. But the main thing is you want to make sure you have coal at all times, and you basically just go into the furnace, hit on and off, and hit max power. You want to keep that sucker on so that way they stay warm and you don't run into problems. And this is why when you're rotating through, you basically upgrade all of these, and then you just hit upgrade and you rinse repeat. One thing that should be mentioned is that like you might want to also go through and make sure that you see where it says production, you just tap on the yellow icon here. Change those to fancy mills as soon as you can, so that way you get the extra bonus for them being full. But outside of that, really, as far as this is concerned, that min max is pretty straightforward and easy to understand. Now, when you get to the lighthouse, eventually you'll start doing this, and then you'll just go out, find whatever it is you're wanting to attack, and you'll rinse repeat, hitting things out in the wilderness. Now, there is such a thing as as far as like auto gathering and stuff like that goes, you just click on the eyeglass here on the left, and then you want to basically go and gather, preferably iron in terms of valuable. Like what is most problematic is oftentimes iron and coal. I find that you're going to find these to be the most valuable. Iron's the more valuable resource out of the three, really, because iron you're going to have the lowest production on. Coal won't be far behind it. Wood will be somewhat in between, and meat will be the most difficult, like used, resource out of all of them. Okay, but as far as like individual heroes, what hero lineups should I work on? You should probably get Zen Man if you can, because the benefit of Zen Man is you just want to upgrade his construction speed and cost speed. You don't want to bother with his exploration skills because there's not any damage or anything associated to these. You want to stack your books. You can throw on gear if you actually, eventually acquire gear and stuff like that. And you can, level them up as, you go along. And that depends whether you're doing, free to play or pay to play, whatever gambit you want to play. It doesn't really matter to me. But what I do know is you want to get Jesse, and then you want to get Sergey. You can get Bhakti and Suyon. They're not bad. I honestly think even Wallace Bokan is probably not a bad choice. Obviously, when you're free to play, you'll probably end up picking up Smith and Eugene, and the reason being is because you're wanting to basically maximize your gathering speed and your incomes. Because again, anything or everything that improves the amount of growth that you can possibly have are going to be the things that you want to focus down on. But as far as like the hero lineups go, and from what I gather, at least in this game, okay, there's kind of like I would say like kind of a one thing you have to understand is like, okay, so what counters what? So infantry are actually going to counter lancers. Lancers are going to counter marksmen, and marksmen are going to counter infantry. All right, that's really about all you need to know. And so oftentimes lineups are, in at least in an arena anyway, are either two infantry, two lancer, one marksman, or it's two marksmen, one lancer, two infantry. That whatever variation it is, though, it almost always what they're ultimately trying to do is keep the infantry alive long enough that the marksman can kill their infantry, or the lancers are you double stack your lancers so that you can kill their marksmen faster and keep your infantry alive longer so that you can win the arena battle. I mean, effectively, those are the lineups that people are tending to use. Now, as far as like what heroes are better and why, it's ultimately you can indicate that by their icons, and so a lot of those lineups are going to reflect that. But typically, what you're after is damage up. Anything that increases damage and the attack rate up and damage up are kind of like those are what typically people are going after. Because anything or everything increasing attack damage is really, really, really good. Of course, area of effect is not to be ignored. Like there's obvious benefits to that as well. But again, one thing that's different is obviously your mythic heroes are going to be your super pay to win, super expensive. Purple epics are going to be your somewhat expensive, and then your blues are going to be your free to play but most cheap choices. Eventually, most people will get Gina. And from what I've gathered, a lot of people are saying that you just want to upgrade the stamina cost upgrade, which goes up by 20% when it's fully maxed out, but 10%. Yeah, I mean it's good if you're like going around and I mean, from what I gather, what people are doing is just going in the world and basically using up that stamina that they get every day, and they're just using it to basically go ahead and hunt beasts. And, obviously, the higher the beast you can hit, the more resources you get, and therefore the better leveling XP you get, and therefore you can kind of min-max your heroes that way. Eventually, when you get your furnace level upgraded, there's actually something called drill camp. So if you're wondering what that is, let me show you. So, like, for example, if I go to heroes, when you unlock drill camp, basically what that allows you to do is you can actually level a hero from the first five. So whatever the first five heroes, whatever their min level is, you basically take whatever that one hero that you're wanting to level up to 40 without having to actually use the experience to do it. So that way you don't really have to, so if there's like one hero, like in my case, it's, this particular Wallace Pecan, I can just level him to 40 without actually using the XP to do it. So I can actually have just like, 4 or 5 main heroes and then have 1 or 2 I can rotate between as far as levels go. Now, the main thing about tiers is obviously tiers are going to unlock your star rating, and the more rating stars you have, the more skills you unlock, and therefore the better the heroes you have. As far as the Chief House is concerned, about the only skill you really need to ever use is Rush Job, and then occasionally Productivity Day. You kind of rotate between those two, and then if your people are getting really pissy, then you get Festivities to keep them happy. But otherwise, I would just save the rest. Outside of that, I mean, I would say you're really just going to be rotating doing your, main chapter missions and such. So, like, do your main missions, do your daily missions, and then just rotate in between. And that's really about all you need to know as far as how to play this game. I honestly, when I was first starting out, one of the things that really kind of caught me off guard, and really kind of what I like about it so far, is that okay, yeah, if you want to go into the pay to win section and you want to spend a stupid amount of money, it's going to be in the heroes and more specifically the gear. Obviously, if you want to find a good guild, you can. You don't necessarily have to play by yourself if you don't want to, but if you do, then you obviously want to take a look at the world map, find yourself a guild or not, and you want to strategically put yourself somewhere where you are around areas of resources. So preferably go to resource tab like this. Pick yourself an area where the level 8 to level 7s are, because the people that can gather the level 7s and 8s are going to have a far better time in the future. Hopefully this little guide is helpful for you, and hopefully you learned a thing or two, and I'm hoping that maybe this will kind of make your life a little easier, because I, for one, play a lot of these kind of types of games, and if this guide helped you, then share with friends. Let me know in the comment section below if there's anything I left out, or if there's anything you'd like to know more about. And I'll see you guys next time.